A very good evening to one and all, and welcome to today's NCF session. Today, we are going to explore section 2.2.1 of chapter 2 of NCF for school education, in which we are going to look into development of concepts in a curricular area and the required capacities for the development of that particular concept. The development of children happens in different stages that we have explored yesterday as well, like infancy, early childhood, middle and late childhood, at the same time, adolescence. It is also indirectly dependent upon the associated faculty, even the teachers. Yeah. So let us look into reading development. Reading has become central to education and schooling. Most learning materials, whether in the form of textbooks or worksheets, have printed text in them, and students are expected to read and comprehend them. So, it is important to consider the stages of reading development in the design of the school stages. See, like we all know, reading is a very important factor for anyone to become a literate, isn't it? In the early ages of a student, if he or she is striving really hard to build upon the reading skills, it so happens that once they, like come out of their schooling after 12th grade, most of the concepts, whatever graduation he or she might, what do we say, like aspire for, most of the concepts they can read on their own, understand, and they can explore them, okay, with very little efforts of the faculty at that point of time. Apart from that, once they finish their studies also, reading plays a very significant role in professional development. Today, though CBSE has come up with documents like NCF and NEP, CBSE is organizing, like trainings in these as well as other concepts or other training topics also. But is it reaching to everyone? Very few people are able to have access for that. That's the reason CBSE is releasing documents for everything so that teachers can read on their own thoroughly again and again, and they can explore what has been told in NCF and NEP, isn't it? So this way, reading not only plays a very significant role in the life of a student, but it has a special effect, okay, which gives him or her fruits in the once they become, what do we say, adults. So stage one is called as pre-reading. Students in this stage should be able to recognize individual sounds, oral language, and few initial vocabulary. Okay, this happens in, like early childhood stage. So here children develop oral language capacities and begin to recognize individual sounds in parts of speech. Like if someone is speaking, okay, they try to identify the sound of those words. Exposure to rich language use, specifically directed at children, is critical for developing oral language and vocabulary that are necessary for initial reading. So, during this stage, we are all expected to give rich exposure of language to all the students so that what happens is they can learn more words, and the more words they learn at this particular stage, it is very much useful for them. Their reading capacity is going to increase very well. So, yeah, exposure to the use of printed texts by adults help develop the concept of print as well. If we can use printed text also for initial reading purpose of the students, it also develops in increasing the, concept. Children will also understand the concept of print. The second stage is initial reading stage. In this stage, students should be able to decode the words given in the text and read it. Remember, phonical awareness, if given in early childhood stage, it is really good. We have to give. Once the child comes to nursery itself, we start with the sounds, phonic sounds of the alphabets. Now, in this stage, the second stage, children start making connections between oral sounds and the visual symbolic form of the written system. For example, in nursery, if at all we have, introduce them to sounds, phonic sounds. Now here, if we show the alphabet, not alphabet, the letter along of the particular phonic sound, what happens is they draw connection between the sound and the letter. This aspect of reading is termed as decoding. So in the initial reading stage, decoding has to be given more importance, where the effort is focused on establishing letter-sound relationships. So here the most important factor is to motivate the child to establish the relationship between the letter and the letter's sound. And using this understanding to read familiar and unfamiliar words. With the help of now, as they have understood the letter and the sound of the letter, they can start slowly reading few small words, two-letter words, three-letter words, and etc. Now, the third stage is fluency and ungluing from print. Here, students in this stage should be able to decode the words fluently and start trying to understand the meaning of the text. Their decoding abilities become fluent and thus place low cognitive demand on the process of converting the textual symbols to sounds. Now here, in the initial stage, they have established very good relationship between the sound and the word. Now here, it becomes fluent for them. Easily just looking at the word, they can easily recognize the sound and they can read out the word. With the release of this burden, their focus shifts to grasping the meaning in the text. Now, what happens is slowly children start moving their concentration towards grasping the meaning of the text. In the second stage, establishing connection between the sound and the letter. In third stage, they are becoming fluent with what they have learned and they are moving to the further stage, which is grasping the meaning. The fourth stage, reading for learning the new. Student in this stage should be able to learn the concept from the text and imagine what they are reading. It's a developmental process. In the first stage, sounds. Second stage, establishing the relation between sound and the print. Third stage, fluency in sound and reading more text. Now, in the fourth stage, reading, okay, and apart from reading, imagining what they are reading. In this stage, children are not just reading familiar texts and engaging with familiar ideas in a textual form. They are able to learn new ideas and concepts through the process of reading. Here, actually, we are introducing the child to new concepts through a medium called as textbook or any reading material. They are not relying only on their concrete physical experience, but are able to imagine possibilities based on what they read. Okay, like apart from reading, the capacity to imagine what has been told in the text also increases in this particular stage. Reaching this stage is especially important for students to become independent learners. So you have to put a star mark in your book for this stage because every child should reach to this stage. Okay, because once they reach to this stage, that makes children, all the children, independent readers. And everyone should become an independent reader. Now, the next stage, the fifth stage, is termed as multiple viewpoints. Students in this particular stage should be able to understand the viewpoints of the author. See, one step ahead again. Okay, not only imagining, understanding the viewpoint of the author, especially from the perspective of literature, and think about the text from different viewpoints. Okay, now they are free to think about it from different viewpoints. In this stage, more critical understanding of text being read becomes possible. Okay, they start understanding the text very critically. The students can understand that the author of the text has a specific viewpoint and that there are possible other viewpoints. They not only understand that the author is trying to tell us something, but they also understand that there are several other meanings to what this author has written. Okay, there are many other viewpoints. They can bring in their own understanding and critically evaluate the piece of text. Apart from understanding the viewpoint of author, also understanding that there are other several viewpoints, they can bring their own understanding. Okay, why couldn't this be like this? Okay, so in this way, this stage also plays a very significant role. Okay, in what do we say, like bringing out the critical thinking of the students. The sixth stage is construction and reconstruction. Students in this stage should be able to understand what is happening around with the help of the text. The reader forms a worldview based on what they are reading. Imagine they are given with a book, a novel, or any sort of fiction. Now they are reading and they're understanding the characters, and at times they also try to connect these characters with the real life characters, incidents. Whatever they are reading, they are connecting it with the real world that is around them. They consciously choose books to further deepen their worldview or challenge the worldview that they hold. Now, in this stage, they are going to another extent that they choose the books which they want to read. That independence is given to the children at this particular age, especially children who have got the habit of reading. They are able to identify the core theses of the author, identify their agreements and disagreements with that thesis, and are able to synthesis and construct a new thesis through this process. Let me put it very simply. They try to understand what that author is trying to say. They can disagree or agree with what the author is saying, and they come up with their own, inferences for understanding the author's point of view. Concluding, in this approach to stages of reading, by the end of preparatory stage, students should be reaching stage 3. By the end of preparatory stage, which means by the end of 5th grade, children should reach stage 3. And by the end of middle stage, which means by the end of 8th grade, they should reach stage 4. In the secondary stage, they should achieve stage 5, which means by the end of 12th grade, they should achieve stage 5 and begin with stage 6. So these are the expectations. These can be called as the minimum levels of learning in case of reading for the students. That was all about reading development. Now let us go with section 2.2.2, wherein we are speaking about perceptual, practical, and theoretical concepts. Introduction. Concept formation is at the core of the cognitive development of the child. What is cognitive development? The capacity to think. Okay. So the capacity to think, the capacity of a child which makes him or her to think is the core of the development. Okay. Based upon that, all other developments are, like affected. A concept is a mental model. Please make a note of this. A concept is a mental model that we make to understand the world. The whole world is filled with several concepts. Okay. Vegetables are concepts, fruits are concepts, flowers are concepts, human relations are concepts. Isn't it? We are making the child to understand all these things. There are thousands of concepts, okay, which are filled in this world. These models are created by a process of abstraction and categorization. Okay. So there is a category, there are categories of concepts. It is not that all concepts are put together into one, bowl of thing. It is that, like all concepts are categorized into, they are put into different categories. We will explore what those categories are. Understanding different kinds of concepts is very relevant for curricular planning. So we should understand Okay, like what are different types of concepts that we have got? Only if we understand, we can plan the curriculum in our hand properly so that we can, come up with very good, like teaching learning sections in the class. Moving further, first type of concept is perceptual concept. Let us see what are perceptual concepts. These are the concepts formed through our perception or senses. Senses means seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, and hearing. Very young children can start differentiating objects based on their color, shape, texture, and perhaps even taste and smell. Isn't it? You give different types of objects. In front of the child, you can put all objects like edibles, non-edibles, play items and all. Okay, just by looking them, by tasting them and all, they come to a conclusion what type of object it is, such as birds. More complex concepts such as birds having feathers and dogs having legs and bark are perceptual concepts too. Okay, only by sensing, like dogs barking, they hear. Okay, feathers, birds are, they look at birds, like the birds are flying. Okay, so these are all conceptual, sorry, these are all perceptual concepts which the child is trying to understand with the help of senses. They are formed through careful observation and the use of the senses. Just now, that's what I have said. Children almost automatically form these concepts through their experiences. What is the experience? Right? Like allowing the child to explore. Okay, spending some time with the child, taking him to a garden so that he can see plants, he can see fruits, he can see birds flying, dogs barking, other animals as well. By giving names to objects and experiences, language plays an important role in developing and expressing these concepts. Okay, like we give names, like, like children, if they look at a dog, they say bow bow first, isn't it? They don't know the exact, word, what to call it. They call it as bow bow. In this way, language development also has a very specific role in understanding the concepts. Now, the second type of concepts are practical concepts. These are the concepts formed not just by perception, but the practical use that is embedded. Okay. They have a perception at the same time, practical use of what they are seeing or what they are sensing. For example, a table or a chair is not a mere perception of the color or shape of the object, but the practical use of the object. If when they look at the table, they can identify the color, they can identify the shape also. But they also get to know how to use a table and a chair. While the chair is an object on which people sit, a table is not usually used for sitting, but to put objects on it or use for work, isn't it? Many a times the color of a table and chair are the same because we buy them together. But the child will understand by observing that on a chair people sit basically, and a table is used to put the things. To form practical concept, children need to have some understanding of social life. To understand a practical concept, one must grasp what people do with an object and what they use it for. Again, through engagement and exposure to exercises in practical life, children develop practical concept. Which means here, what are we doing? We are just leaving the child, leaving in the sense we are letting him observe what is happening around. Okay, so this should happen in a very initial stage itself. By the time they come to early childhood, okay, when they go to school and all, they understand the concepts of table, chair, bag, dress, all such sort of things with their own experience. Language development plays a very important role in the development of perceptual and practical concepts. Okay, we have to always keep in our mind that language development has got to do everything with the development of concepts also, whether it is perceptual concepts or practical concepts. Language enables us to check our experiences with others and ensure we have a shared meaning, emerging from these experiences. It's a very important factor. Only with the help of language, by conversing with others, we can share our experience with them and come to a conclusion whether both the experiences are same. At least in the case of table and chair, the concept, the understanding, and the observation is going to be same for everyone, isn't it? And just a second. Yes. This ensures that we grasp the socially accepted use of the practical concept or the socially accepted vocabulary that represent the perceptual concept. Excuse me. So once they know the language, what happens is they get to understand that the practical and perceptual concepts are having some social effect on them. Okay, in the society, perceptual concepts and practical concepts, they are to be, matching with the others' experiences as well. Always they cannot be different. And language plays a very significant role in understanding this. Moving further, theoretical concepts. These are, on the other hand, explore in highly systematic ways our ordinary common sense experience. These concepts make sense only within a form of understanding. While a spherical or rectangular shape can be perceived, the mathematical understanding of a sphere or a rectangle has a very precise meaning. A rupee coin might perceptually mean a shiny round object. The practical use of it can also be grasped. But to understand money as an economic concept, children need an introduction to a whole lot of theories and conceptual structures in economics. Here, what are we thinking about? There are several objects, okay, which we can provide the child with. But in theoretical concept, there is lots of significance and theory and understanding of the society about one particular object behind it. Like they have spoken about money here. Okay. When we look at a coin, it is a shiny coin. Practically, we use money to give and take, buy the things. But the whole theory called economics is dependent upon that coin, isn't it? So such type of concepts are called theoretical concepts for which we need a system, the child needs a systematic understanding of it. While perceptual and practical concepts require not much more than a normal intuitive mind, theoretical concepts often are counterintuitive, which means they need lots of homework, isn't it? Every concept has a specific theory given by a person who has done vast research on it. For that, always intuition doesn't work. Okay, the child has to understand the theory behind it. To grasp that the earth is rotating around the sun at 30 kilometers per second, and we are standing on a spinning orb rotating at the speed of 460 meters per second, we cannot rely on our perceptions, nor can ordinary practical experience be of any assistance, isn't it? Standing on the earth, can we even imagine that it is rotating at 30, 30 kilometers per second? No, it is a specific study which is there about the earth. Okay, so such concepts are to be deliberately taught to the children, and those concepts are called as theoretical concepts. Always, perception and practicality is not going to work. We need an understanding of physics and mathematics. There is often a discontinuity between our intuitions and ordinary practices and the nature of reality. Reality is different, our intuition is different, isn't it? Our intuition need not be correct always. Okay, there is some reality behind every concept in this universe. So we have to introduce such sort of theories to the students. So theoretical concepts cannot be acquired merely through experience or learning by doing. They need a more deliberate attempt of the teacher and the student to grasp the meaning behind the experience by connecting it to various conceptual structures and the methods of inquiry specific to form of understanding. So there should be an inquiry that should be done by the student, which is facilitated by the teacher to understand theoretical concepts. Then only they can understand those concepts properly. So it needs a deliberate understanding attempt. Deliberately, the teacher should help the child in understanding through inquiry. Inquiry is a method. This indicates that very young children can grasp and develop perceptual and practical concepts through experience and human interaction, along with effective use of language. Theoretical, so it is clear, isn't it? By looking and by doing, okay, children will understand most of the concepts. And language is also helping them. There is no doubt about it. Theoretical concepts, on the other hand, make sense only through the introduction of a form of understanding and perhaps can wait till the middle stage. So, till middle stage, okay, which means till grade 6 and all, we cannot introduce highly theoretical concepts to the students. They can wait. NCF itself is stating this. In the secondary stage, students gain deeper disciplinary knowledge and methods, which means disciplines, different, areas of curriculum. Okay. This enables them to grasp the deeper meaning of theoretical concepts by placing the concepts within the overall framework of disciplines, explaining them using the current valid theories of the discipline, and also by linking these concepts to theoretical concepts in other disciplines. So, interlinking of different concepts from different subjects or different disciplines. Okay, that can happen after, in the middle stage, till the right from sixth grade, that can happen. Till then, we are supposed to introduce perceptual and practical concepts to the students. Right from sixth grade, they will be in a position to understand deeper meanings of the concepts, and that is the right time to introduce theoretical concepts to the students. So this was all about what do we say, concepts and development of concepts. Let us go to the next section. Just a second, I'm starting. Yeah. As we have spoken about inquiry, now it is time that, we read something about inquiry and modes of inquiry. Let me share the screen. Yeah. Modes of inquiry. The modes of inquiry used by children to develop conceptual understanding play a very important role in the selection of content, pedagogy, and assessment. Okay, so here we are going to discuss about different types of inquiries, different modes of inquiries. With the help of these modes only, we can select the pedagogy, the content, and type of assessment which we are supposed to, use in the teaching learning sessions. The progression of these modes of inquiry also has implications for the stage of schooling. Okay. Based upon these modes of inquiry only, school has been divided into 4 stages. First mode of inquiry is play and exploration. Young children learn various concepts, particularly perceptual and practical concepts, largely through play and open exploration, which means through play, while they are playing deliberately, when we do arrangements for play, especially conceptual understanding, okay, they understand those concepts, perceptual and practical concepts, with the help of play and exploration. Their incredibly curious and absorbent minds are constantly exploring the natural and social world around them. Children at this stage, they are very curious, isn't it? And very absorbent. They can absorb anything which they observe, isn't it? So that helps them in understanding the natural and social world which is around them. They are intuitive, problem solvers, and grasp conventions of language use and social behavior through observation and imitation. Okay, they are observing what what people are doing around them. Maybe it is parents or maybe it is any elderly person around them. Their peers, what peers are doing. They're observing things at home. They are observing things at school. And they are imitating the same things and they are developing a social behavior through that. At this stage, a stimulating environment and the freedom to explore and play are the biggest and most effective sources of learning. So at this particular stage, when the children are coming to school, like at pre-primary level, foundation level, what are we supposed to do? Okay, we have to arrange for a stimulating environment wherein we are giving them freedom to explore the world and to play. Okay, both exploration and play. So that is the most effective source for the children to learn things which are perceptual as well as practical. The simulation does not come only from the material environment, but also from an attentive and active adult and peer group. Okay, this simulation is not just a materialistic environment, but there should be people, adults and peer group along with them. Okay, who are active and attentive. Okay, that's the reason we are having different mod. We have come up with different modules, no, for students in foundation stage, so that in that modules we introduce only playway methodology, and with that children can explore and understand things. Moving on, capacities for inquiry. What are the capacities needed for inquiry? From a broad and free exploration, children need to acquire more specific capacities that have an important role in further inquiry. It is not inquiry only for that particular time. It is also inquiry for future. In addition to the foundational capacities of literacy and numeracy, they acquire skills of observation, data collection, analysis, and more. There are two things which they are specifically stating here. Foundational literacy is very much important. Foundation numeracy is also very much important. Apart from that, observation skills, data collection, analyzing the data that has been collected. These three are also very much important. There are few more also which haven't named here. Gross motor and fine motor skills relevant to physical education. They should also need gross motor and fine motor skills. And art education, vocational education are also developed. Further, capacities for attention, being attentive in the class, perseverance, and memory are also developed. They should have these capacities to be attentive, perceive the things what teacher is telling. Okay, and to develop the memory are also very much important capacities which the children need. Further capacity, these capacities are utilized in informal methods of inquiry to make sense of the world around them and to respond to the practical necessities of life. These are not only used for conceptual understanding, but also practical necessities of life. Practically in life, there are many things the child come across. For solving all those problems, child needs these capacities. These capacities can be developed by giving learning experiences that are practical and within the social context of the student. Okay, we have to arrange deliberately experiences, okay, using all these capacities will be developing in the child. Okay, Vidya Pravesh, there is a module called as Vidya Pravesh. Please go and browse Vidya Pravesh online so that you will understand what is being spoken here. The opportunities for learning can be guided explorations with the specific intent to develop those capacities. We have spoken about capacities, isn't it? Attention, perseverance, apart from that, memory, developing memory and all. We have to arrange activities in such a way So these capacities can be developed in the child. Okay, so that is all about capacities and how to develop capacities in the children. Moving further, methods of inquiry. There is only 1 minute. Once the meeting ends, kindly join with the same link. Once the meeting ends, kindly join with the same link. Methods of inquiry.